What's up, guys? Jordan here, and we are breaking down our entire Zapier account behind RevPilot and how we became Close.com's #1 partner. We've done hundreds of Close.com builds, and we are giving you everything. We've never actually made this video before, and we're giving you the secret sauce, the behind the scenes on exactly how to set up our Zaps to make a Close account function at its best. So stick around to the end. We're literally going step by step through the entire process and showing you how to build a Close.com account as efficiently as possible. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as click the bell icon in the top right-hand corner so you don't miss another video. So in this video, we're going to be breaking down our entire Zapier account. Now, this is a video we've never actually made before and something we haven't shared publicly. So I'm going to go through each Zap and show you step by step how we set it up here at RevPilot. Now, this has allowed us to become Close.com's #1 partner. We're able to keep our accounts clean. They're completely custom. You can edit them how you want. They'll apply to pretty much any sales process out there. But this is really the secret sauce behind it. So we're going to jump in. I'm going to break it down. Now, this all starts with organization, and I think that is a really important thing to start with. We want to make sure we have a main folder. You can name it Close.com, whatever you want. And then under that, we want to have a subfolder called custom activities and then a subfolder called new activity. And I'll explain the difference between these two. And we're going to cover custom activities specifically in this. Now, this is what happens after something triggers or we log a custom activity. Now, if you're unfamiliar with custom activities, I'm going to show you right now what those look like. In Close.com, custom activities are located in settings, custom activities. And we always have these 10 at minimum. Sometimes, depending on the sales process, we may change that. But we have these custom activities. Now, what a custom activity allows us to do is if we go into any given lead, we can click on activity and then we can log the custom activity. So let's say we completed a closer call. We have these properties here. We can make sure that it is submitted the same time every time. And if it's not submitted, we can bubble that information up. And I'll show you how we do that as well. So when we're logging this custom activity, there are certain properties that need to be on each of these. So we're going to start with new purchase right here. And new purchase is going to be a front end purchase, okay? And this relates to the pipeline. So anytime you have a cart checkout of some sort that has nothing to do with a sales rep, we want to log a new purchase so we can keep track of those sales. Now, this is very different than a deal one activity. So when we come into new purchase, you're going to have date purchased, you're going to have the product, and this has to match exactly from what you're sending over from your cart checkout. So if you're using ClickFunnels, if you're using Stripe, whatever that may be, these names need to match because we're going to look them up inside of Zapier. And then we have the amount, okay? And this is just the number amount that we're actually using. Now, I want to show you the pipelines because you need 3 pipelines. You need sales pipeline, finance pipeline, and product pipeline. And I do have another video breaking down the account structure itself, which would be helpful to review before you go through this video. But if you just need the custom activities, you just want to understand how we build the Zaps, then this video is for you. So in the product pipeline, we can see we have these products. Now they're in a 1 status. So you want to make sure if you don't see these and you have them set up, you come over here to options and you change this to all statuses. So we can see here, we have 100x Academy in this situation, and we got these, leads in here, or sample data. So when we come into custom activities, that first one is going to be the new purchase. And under new purchase, we are always triggering off of the published custom activity. So when that custom activity that we showed you earlier is actually published, it is then going to fire off this Zap. And what we're going to do is we're going to update the lead and opportunity. So we pull in the custom activity. So we just want to make sure that your Close account is connected, that you have an event for published custom activity, and then the account selected. Then for the configuration, we want to make sure our custom activity type matches the one that we're actually testing. And then before you actually run the test, and I'm going to go in here and edit this, before you actually run the test, you want to make sure that you submit one of these custom activities. You can do that by simply going to the lead or a lead and logging the new purchase custom activity. Okay. Once you have your sample data in there, you can find new records and it's going to pull in a new record. You can review the record data. Now, We always use these update steps. This is a cool hack for a lot of people. If you do an update step, you don't even have to update the lead. You can just do an update step. And what this actually does is it pulls in additional information that the published custom activity trigger does not have. So we just add an update lead status, and then you can see here, we're not actually doing anything. We just put the lead ID from the prior step. So this will always provide a lead ID, and we just put the lead ID in here. Now, when we come down to here, in this situation, we have a formatter step, and we're multiplying by 100 so that we can get cents, because the close API or the close platform looks at cents. So we want to make sure that we're multiplying by 100 so we actually get the opportunity amount. Lastly, we need to go create or update the opportunity. So in this section, we're going to use the lead ID again from the first step. The status is going to match the product. And this is a little confusing because normally we're not going to name a opportunity status as the product. In this situation, we are, because they're front-end products and we're just tracking products. So if we come into statuses and pipelines, we can see our product pipeline matches the products that we have. So these are actually going to be the statuses. So we want to make sure the lead ID is coming through. Then we have the product coming from the custom activity. So you can see the one here. One product is this. Confidence 100, value, the output of the formatter step, and then we can continue and test. And that's going to complete that. And all that's going to do is that's going to create an opportunity inside of this pipeline and track our front end purchases. Okay. Now, when we go back to, and let's see if we can go back here. Let me go through all this. Probably should have just gone to the folder. There we go. Perfect. So the next one is triage call booked, and you can name this whatever you want. You can see that we're very deliberate in how we actually name these, but you want to make sure that they are named correctly. So we have triage call booked. Now, if you want that to be called demo call booked or discovery call booked, you can name it whatever you would like. Triage call book in our world is the initial call. That is the setter call. That is the discovery call. You know, it's a short 15-minute call where we're identifying if this is a person that we want to set to our closer. Now, if you do not use a setter, then you can skip this triage call booked activity. But we want to come back to our settings, go back to custom activities, make sure that we have a matching one here. You can see the name is slightly different in this account. So we have set call booked. And we always need a couple things on these. We need at least a lead owner, and then we need a date, okay? In this situation, we have two dates, and this is very important. We have date booking created, and then we have date of call. And the data call is going to be the date the actual call is going to take place, and then the date booking created is the creation date, okay? And again, you can name these whatever you want, as long as you understand what they are. And then we have setter lead owner, because that is the actual person taking this call. Now, if we come into the triage call booked Zap, it's super straightforward. We have the publish custom activity once again. And again, you should have your closed account connected. The event is going to be publish custom activity, and then we have the account. Now, the configuration for a custom activity type is going to be that matching custom activity, and then we'll run the test. Once you run the test, we're going to come back here. And again, the update lead step is super straightforward. We're going to update with the lead status from here. Now, one thing we're doing in addition is adding the setter lead owner. So we're updating the custom property on the fields or in the fields, the custom fields, to the setter lead owner. Okay. So something to note is that the setter lead owner here on this custom activity is different than the setter lead owner inside of custom fields. Now, you do have the option to click here, go to field options and share field, which means it will actually share it to the custom fields section. We don't typically do that, but you can if you want. So we update setter lead owner, and then we want to find the opportunity. Now, since this is a triage call booked, we assume that there is already an opportunity inside of the pipeline. And we're looking at the sales pipeline now. So we can assume that there should be a potential opportunity already created. Now, you do not need to create this potential opportunity, but if there is one created, we always want to check. So rule of thumb, Always do a create close opportunity if it doesn't exist yet with a find step instead of a create opportunity. And I'll show you why, because this down here is super important. So we find the opportunity. We use the lead ID from step 1. The status is going to be triage call booked, triage call booked, triage call booked, or TC booked. And if we come back to the pipeline, set call booked, same thing. It's just a different name in here. So we're actually logging this set call booked. So we've created a custom activity, we're updating the lead, and then we are finding or creating the opportunity. Now you can also see here, we assign the user to the opportunity that matches from the update lead step or the publish custom activity. And then we want to make sure that we have the right contact ID. Okay. Now this next part, I'm going to caveat, is a little complicated. If you need support or you want to work through this, you want to be pointing in the right direction, and to see if you even need this in the first place, you can always click in the description below and schedule a time to talk with me or someone on my team, and we can point you in the right direction. We do a complete free sales audit where we take a look at your sales process, audit everything about it, and then provide you with that information and do what you will with it. But this looping is really, really useful inside of close, because there are going to be a lot of opportunities where we have multiple opportunities. And a way you can check this is if you come into opportunities, you can say total number of opportunities is more than 2. And you can see a lot of people have more than 2. Okay. So we have one in the product pipeline, we have one in the finance pipeline, we have one in the sales pipeline. We have to be able to tell close which opportunity we want to update. Okay. So we're going to create looping here. And when we create this looping, we're going to loop with this value here. And I'm actually going to go in and edit this because it's kind of hard to tell from that section. So we turn on looping, okay, looping by Zapier. And then we want to loop by line item. And we click configure. And then you can see values to loop. We have opportunity ID. And the opportunity ID is coming from 3. So this step right here, and it's the opportunity ID. So if you click on this and we go to test data, we'll be able to see the opportunity ID in this list of stuff, okay? So we want the opportunity ID in here. And then we're going to test, okay? And what this is going to do is it's going to cycle through all of the opportunities that may exist on this lead. So instead of just finding the first opportunity that it finds and updating that one, it's actually going to start searching all of the opportunities. And this is key to making sure that this works, okay? So it's going to search all of these. And what it's searching for is basically, it's only going to continue to this next step if the pipeline name contains sales. So when it's searching through here, you can see we have finance pipeline, sales pipeline, and product pipeline. If the pipeline name is sales, it will update this opportunity. It will leave these other 2 alone. And this is key. This is where most people, they're never able to utilize this because of that issue. So we're able to loop through these, and we only continue to the update step if the pipeline name contains sales, okay? So once we do that, we want to update the information on the opportunity. So we use the opportunity ID from step 4. Now, that's a really important part here as well. We are looping from step 4 and grabbing the opportunity ID that this spit out. If you use this opportunity ID, it's just going to update that first opportunity it found. So we want to make sure that we're using the opportunity ID from here. Custom field, setter lead owner. We want to update the opportunity with the setter lead owner and the contact ID, just like we did above. We want to make sure the status is set to TC booked or set call booked, whatever you want. And then you can click continue, test, and you'll be good to go. Okay. So that is how we're going to set up a triage call booked activity. Now, if I click back through this, we're going to go back to the main Zaps. And anytime that we have a set call booked, and again, if you don't understand our account structure, you can watch the other video, but we should always have, if we have a set call booked, which is the actual booking of the call, and it doesn't matter if it's a closed call booked or set call booked, but we want to have a call completed and a call not completed. And this is basically the post-call activity that the sales rep is going to complete after this call. And we can always assume that if this set call booked exists and one of these does not exist, if the set call booked date of call, I should say, is in the past and one of these 2 does not exist, then we must have made a mistake, and then we must fill that out, right? There is no gray area. The call is in the past. We need one of these 2 items, okay? And we're going to show you how to set those zaps up as well. So if I click back through this, we're going to go back. I wish there was an easy way. Call out for Zapier. I wish they made it easier to go back to your folder. So when we come into this, we're going to go to triage call completed and take a look at this. So we have triage call completed or set call completed. Okay, and this is our next custom activity. Now, when we come into set call completed, we can see we have the setter lead owner, the data call, we have an outcome. The outcome is bad fit, follow up, or scheduled close call. And then we have the notes. Okay, so what we're doing here is the same exact thing. And you'll notice this functions very similar between all of these. They're just slight nuanced differences between each. So we go off of the published custom activity. So when a sales rep logs this set call completed activity, we want this to trigger. Once this triggers, we want to go ahead and update the lead. That pulls in the extra information. We can also update setter lead owner right here. Then we want to find the opportunity. And then we proceed to the next step. Okay. And then again, you will see this looping. And now it's actually looping everything below this step. So that includes these paths. Okay. And we want to make sure this is up here. So the looping is going to be exactly the same. So we're going to use the opportunity ID for step 3, just like we did here. And we're going to test and move to the next step. Now, again, the pipeline, the opportunity pipeline name needs to be sales, contains sales. Okay. So we don't want to touch the other pipeline. So we don't want to touch something that's already in a deal 1 activity for finance pipeline or product pipeline, etc. We only want to update the sales pipeline. Then we are going to split into paths. Okay. So we just use paths by Zapier, and that is going to path it out. I highly recommend making sure you name these so you know which one's which and that they show correctly. In this situation, we have bad fit, we have follow-up, and scheduled strategy session. Okay. Now, when you click on the path, we can see here custom field, the outcome needs to equal follow-up. Now, this path does not do follow-up. So that's why we have this path here, this filter. So we're saying that the custom field outcome exactly matches bad fit. Now, bad fit is one of the outcomes right here. If you want to add other outcomes, you can add whatever outcomes you want. So really straightforward. We have bad fit, and then we're going to update lead. Okay. And right here, we're using the lead ID from step 1. I always recommend using the lead ID from the original step 1 so you don't get confused. And then we're going to update the lead status to bad fit. Okay. And then we're going to change the setter lead owner. And we usually just do this twice just in case it doesn't get updated for any reason. It doesn't hurt to do it a second time. Okay. You're already using a step. And then we have update opportunity. Okay. And this is exactly the same as the other one. So update opportunity, the opportunity ID is not coming from step 3. It is coming from step 4. And I wish I had someone to explain this to me when I was originally creating this system and working with my team to create this system, right? Because it's really confusing. So we have step 4 that's going to go into here. And then assigned user, we're going to use the setter lead owner from step 1, and then contact ID from step 1 as well. You can also get it from step 2, the update lead status section. Now, the status is going to be the opportunity status that we want it to be put into, which is triage call completed or set call completed. Again, that should match your pipeline. And then lastly, we're going to create a task. Okay. And you can choose to do this or not. In this situation, we're creating a task saying, hey, please fill out the deal lost activity form. Okay. Now, these other paths are virtually going to be the same. So you can see follow-up here is going to be follow-up. We're just filtering differently, and then we're doing the same exact step. Now, this one is slightly different because we're not creating a task. That's the only difference between these is we don't need to create a task for a scheduled strategy session. Now, we could if we wanted to, but we are basically coming in here, we're updating lead and updating the opportunity, okay? Now, if you add additional fields here, you may want to pull those in and put them into a custom field here. You don't have to, though, okay? You just want to make sure the setter lead owner exists and the outcome exists. Now, the next piece of this, and I'm just going to go all the way back. We're going to go to folders instead of having to click through all those every single time. So when we come into our Rev Pilot folder and custom activities, the next step is going to be triage call not completed. Okay. So when we come into triage call not completed and we go to the custom activity, set call not completed, again, just the naming is different, but it's the same activity. We have setter, lead owner, data call, and then reason. Now, reason is a little different. We have bad data, canceled, no-show, scheduled. So we can track these items in the CRM. So in here, very similar, publish custom activity. We're going to update the lead. And again, if you've made it this far and you're wondering what these steps are, just go back to the previous step because they're exactly the same. Okay. But we have the publish custom activity. We update the lead. We find the opportunity and we loop. Okay. Once we loop, we're going to filter based on the sales pipeline. You can see that here. And then we're going to split it into paths. Now, again, you want to match the paths that are in here. So your paths will be bad data, canceled, no-show, rescheduled, and any other choices that you have added. Now, when you are actually going through these, we have bad data, path, and then we have update lead, update opportunity, okay? And when we're updating opportunity in this situation, we want to make sure we're updating the number 4, like we've talked about before, not number 3. So number 4, assigned user, setter, contact ID, and then the only difference here really is going to be the status. So TC not completed, okay? Meaning we didn't complete that, but we're going in, we're updating the opportunity, et cetera, okay? Then we have canceled, no-show, and rescheduled. Those are going to be exactly the same. If you want to add a create task or subscribe to workflow step inside of here, that is where you would do it. You would do it after this, okay? So you would do a find workflow step and then a enroll to workflow step. The reason we always do a find workflow step is we want to make sure we're not enrolling people into a workflow when they're already in one, not because it's going to mess anything up, but more importantly, it is going to error. It's going to error Zapier over and over and over, and you're going to get a bunch of notifications, and it's going to be confusing, and you want to prevent that, okay? So we are going to skip the close call booked, close call completed, and close not completed because these 3 are virtually exactly the same as these. The only difference is close call completed is going to have more options on here, but you don't need to change anything on the process of the Zap itself. Okay. Now the ones that I do want to talk about are deal 1 and deal lost because these are a little bit different. So when we come into deal 1, we are going to go back to Zaps and folders. We're going to go back into our Rev Pilot folder. Bear with me here. We're going to go to custom activities. And then we are going to go to our deal 1 custom activity Zap. Okay. So when a deal 1 activity is submitted, we have the closer or the lead owner or the setter, whatever it is. We want the owner of that opportunity on here. We want the date, the initial payment, the total contract value, the program name, the payment source, and any other properties that you want. It just depends on your sales process. But we need closer, date, initial payment, contract value at a minimum. So what this looks like is we have our custom activity being published here. So custom activity 10, just like we have before. And then we have 2 formatter steps. Why do we have these? Pretty straightforward. We need to format the initial payment amount, okay? So we are performing a math operation on here, as you can see, and fixing these numbers, okay? So format them, and then we opportunity. Now, when we find the opportunity, let's let this load. We are searching for opportunity status type of active. This is really important. You want to make sure active is in there. Your lead is going to be the lead ID, step 1. Always use step 1. Deal status is deal 1. Confidence, obviously 100. Value is going to be the output from that. Now, what we want to note here is that we are updating this inside of a specific sales pipeline, and I'll outline that in a second. Close date is going to be the custom field date, but you can also just put today technically in Zapier, and it'll populate today's date. User is going to be the lead owner from the first step, and then the contact ID is what we got from here or the update step. Okay. Now we update the lead, and this step again using lead ID from step 1, and we're updating the closer lead owner from the first step to make sure that gets put on there no matter what. Then we're going to create an opportunity. Okay. And you can see this status is different. And I said I would talk about this. So we have deal 1 and we have initial payment. So what we're essentially doing is the find opportunity step here. We are going to be updating the opportunity in the sales pipeline like we did with the other ones. But we also have a create opportunity step because we're going to create a brand new opportunity in the finance pipeline. And if we remember, if you come into the finance pipeline, you can see initial payment and all these other statuses. Now, initial payment is going to be the actual amount that we collected in cash today. And I have a whole video on the finance pipeline, how to build that and why we do it this way, et cetera, et cetera. But we want to put the actual cash collected amount in the finance pipeline and then update the sales opportunity with the total contract value. So that is why we have output 3 here for the full amount. And then we have the output value here for the other amount. Okay, the actual initial payment that should be different than this unless it is a pay in full. Next up, we have a filter, and we are basically going to filter and only continue if an opportunity exists, right? So opportunity ID from step 5 exists, okay? If it does, that means we have multiple opportunities and we need to create the line items like we did before. Now, we were using the step number 3, but we want to use step number 5 right here because this is where we're actually identifying the opportunity. So we're actually looking at 2. So we're looking for opportunity ID, which is the opportunity ID from step 5. And then we're looking at opportunity ID pipeline name. And then we are going to loop and we're going to run this over and over and over until we find that specific opportunity. The filter condition, sales, just like we had before. And then we're going to update opportunity. Okay. And that we're updating that opportunity in the sales pipeline, right? So you can see here, the value amount is the full amount that we talked about earlier. So this essentially breaks down all of these zaps, okay? And when we come into here, deal lost is going to be very, very similar. It is simply going to be published custom activity, update lead, filter the conditions, create the loop from the line items, find the opportunity, filter, update, okay? So the only step that you don't have in here that you had in the closed won activity is the create opportunity step for the finance pipeline because we didn't collect any cash. It's a deal lost, but we want to go update the opportunity. All right. So I hope this gives you everything you need to be able to get in here and start building these custom activities and building each of these zaps. Again, you want a one-to-one relationship so that when a custom activity gets submitted, it takes the necessary actions that you want. Now, I know this is pretty complex, not just complex, but it's time consuming. And if you, the business owner, or the VP of sales, whatever your role may be, if you do not want to waste your time building this stuff out or trying to figure it out on your own, please click the link in the description below, schedule a time to talk with me or someone on my team. We'll be able to analyze, again, your sales process top to bottom and point you in the right direction. That may mean working with us. It may mean we send you materials. It may mean we point you in the direction of another company that might be able to support you better based on your sales process. But we can break this down exactly for you. Our team has done hundreds of close.com builds, and we can build this out very, very quick and efficient for you. And we do everything custom. So if you guys have questions, comments, or concerns, put them in the comments section below. If you liked this video and you want to see more about close.com, Zapier, AI, automation, and sales operations, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button, give us a follow, and we'll be posting more videos. We'll see you on the other side. Cheers.